Hey, let's talk about weapon expertise. So let's say I'm a HotA barb. Well, I'm not. I'm a charge barb, but that's okay. Um, let's open the expertise panel. Where is it? Okay, let's press. Oh, well, actually, here, let's look at this first. All right, so in your skill assignment tab, you can see all the different weapons that you have assigned to all your different skills. For example, I hover over lunging strike. I have bludgeoning assigned to lunging strike. If I go down to whirlwind, I have dual wield assigned to whirlwind. I have a sword and a mace. Um, if I go over to rend, I have my slashing weapon assigned to rend. All right, so that'll control which weapon you use for which attack. Now let's look at my weapon expertise tab. So you've got a column on the right. These are all your different weapon expertise. They show what rank it is, right? And then you've got a technique slot. This you unlock it when you're level 15. You can put any of your expertise into that slot. So let's talk about the technique first. Any attack with a weapon will get this bonus, regardless of what weapon you're using. Almost always we want the two-hand axe expertise bonus because all it requires to activate is that the enemy is vulnerable, and it gives you this huge 15% multiplicative damage bonus. That's good for any build. There are a few others that are kind of good. You might see people in different guides recommending two-hand sword, technique, one-hand mace in the technique slot. That's pretty much it. I think those are the big three. Two-hand sword, two-hand axe, one-hand mace. So that's the technique slot. You can assign any one of your expertise to the technique slot, and it allows the player, you can read right there, to choose a weapon expertise that applies to all of their attacks using a weapon, regardless of which weapon you're using. If you're not using a weapon for an attack, you don't get this bonus, I'm pretty sure. Like kick, you could test it pretty easily though. Like if you put sword expertise in the technique slot and then kick someone, I'm pretty sure they will not start bleeding. Anyway, so that's the technique slot. You get a second expertise bonus based on what weapon you're wielding. So since I use two-hand, my bludgeoning weapon for charge, when I charge and deal damage with charge, it gets the bludgeoning weapon bonus, which is, there's two parts to it. Chance to gain fury and dealing additional critical strike damage against vulnerable enemies. So if I charge a vulnerable enemy, I will get this bonus and the technique bonus. You can actually get the same bonus twice, like how I have rend assigned to the two-hand axe. So when I hit with rend, I will get this bonus, 15% additional damage to vulnerable enemies, and 10% increased critical strike chance against vulnerable enemies, and another 15% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. They stack. Okay, so that's how you assign weapons with the arsenal system, the arsenal selection. We talked about weapon expertise, and we talked about the technique slot. There's one more thing to consider, and that is all your different types of weapons have a different implicit bonus. You'll see it beneath the damage per second, beneath the damage per hit, beneath the attacks per second. You'll see on this mace there's overpower damage. On this sword, it's critical strike damage. These apply to your damage regardless of whether or not you use this weapon. This is just a, they call it a stat stick. All of these bonuses I have on my character sheet at all times. All 5 of these, actually. Critical strike damage, strength, overpower damage, damage over time, damage while berserking. I never have to use this sword to get any of those bonuses. So that's the last point to consider when choosing which weapons to equip. So to go back over it again, this is how you choose which weapon is used for a skill. Press middle mouse. If you're on console, it's a little different. then you select whichever technique is the best for your build. You select whichever weapons in your stat sticks, which would be best for your build. For overpower HotA, that would be maces. And even though you never use those maces, you still get that overpower damage. And back here in the expertise tab, you would select two-hand axe. Even if you're not holding a two-hand axe, even if you're not using a two-hand axe, you still get this bonus as well. And then again, the last thing is the expertise of the weapon you are currently using. For HotA, that's going to be two-handed mace. So that's that. That's how it all works.